Hello, and welcome to Binging the Force, a Star Wars rewatch, where we watch Star Wars episodes and talk over the good parts. Tonight, I am joined by Kim,
Hello.
Shane,
Hello.
and Jackie and Bill.
Hi there.
And hello.
And tonight, we're going to be watching Ahsoka Chapter 4, Fallen Jedi, which premiered last night, I believe. A lot of exciting stuff going on in this episode. I'm looking forward to us watching it and talking about it. And with that, I think we're going to have a lot of stuff to say right after the end of the episode. So I think we should just jump right in, and then we'll give ourselves some extra time to chat afterwards.
Okay, you want to jump right into it?
Yeah, let's dive in.
Yeah, that sounds good. Multiple times.
It's normal for a Star Wars character.
Yeah.
So here we have our usual recap, in case you weren't paying attention last week.
It's good.
Really
sometimes.
enjoying. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I like the recap sometimes because it just gives me a quick refresh of what. Not that I missed it, but okay, this is where we are again.
Yeah, exactly. And it gives you all. Here's everything that's important to remember for this week's story to make sense. And I was going to say, I'm really enjoying what a major character Hu Yang has ended up being. I was expecting him to just be a quick cameo, and he's turned out to be one of the main characters, which is pretty fun.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of don't like him. I don't like the way he treats Sabine.
Well, I mean, Star Wars has a established history of droids with difficult personalities.
That's true.
And as a Doctor Who fan, I really enjoy hearing David Tennant's voice in the show.
Yeah. I was going to ask you, Jefferson, is it because it's David Tennant or?
Partially, I have to admit, I really loved, I forget the character's name, but the character that Tom Baker played on Rebels, the big force monster. I loved him a lot too. So it's a little of that. I love the fact that the robot's face actually looks like David Tennant's face. But I like the character too. I like we need a wisecracking droid in Star Wars. It's important.
Yeah.
I really love this episode, how it just sort of starts right up from the last one. And, it almost feels like if you watch all 4 of these episodes together, it's almost like a movie, right?
I think
You can
it
binge
is.
this. I have a feeling you're going to be able to binge watch the whole thing, and it'll be like a big old long movie.
Right, and it'll be effortless. You'll sit down and press play on episode 1, and the next thing you know, it'll be 6 hours later, and you'll have watched them all.
Like hopefully you can skip all the previews and then just watch it all.
What would be really cool is if a fan edit just connected them from one
Just do like
to the other, so there's just no stop. That'd be really cool.
Yeah.
We got a
Because
little
it feels like we just pressed pause at the end of last week's episode to go get a drink, and then now we're just starting right up where we left off.
That's how the beginning of the series felt. Like you pressed pause on Rebels, and then you started in.
Mm-hmm.
We got a little past it, but I like seeing the fulcrum call sign again.
Which is a nice little touch. They're doing a fairly good job, I think, of dropping stuff in from Rebels that won't necessarily confuse the audience if they don't get it. It doesn't matter if you don't know what fulcrum is.
I feel that's the same way at the end. You don't need to know that.
Yeah, we'll talk about that when we get to the end. But I think this episode in particular has done a nice job of dropping that stuff in without confusing us too much.
So I am here. I'm just trying to stay off camera if possible because I've got a cold. But I just watched a Rebels recap, like a 5-minute, here's very quickly everything you need to know, and it covered like all 4 seasons of Rebels, and I don't know if I would have gotten the fulcrum reference without that.
But
that was
the point is you didn't need to.
That fulcrum was a call sign that was being used that someone they talked to in the first couple seasons, and then it turned out to be Ahsoka.
Right. Yeah, but you didn't need to know that. That didn't have any bearing on this story.
Not at all. And then I love the way all the subtitles are, majestic music.
I kind of like.
Great.
Yeah, I like seeing these with the little subtitles sometimes.
So
I haven't quite hit that point that old people hit where we just watch TV with subtitles on all the time, but I'm not too far away. I'm pretty close.
This episode is a lot of fun. It's probably one of my favorite so far. Of course, we're only 4 episodes in, but it is rife with foreshadowing and a lot of predictability. But we just had that little discussion between Sabine and Ahsoka, and of course can I trust you?
Yeah.
We're
Like, of course.
Mm-hmm. And here's the point where I was thinking, okay, this is where poor Huyang gets killed to prove the situation is serious.
I still would have liked at least one director to have said to Rosario Dawson that folding her arms is not emotion.
Yeah.
But she does that a lot in Rebels. She does that in the cartoon a lot. That's just her. That's her.
Yeah, she's picking up a lot of the stance of the character from the animated series, and there's even some classic animated Ahsoka side looks that she gives here and there.
Yeah.
But it's been very subtle. I like the fact that she's doing this, but they're not making it a focal point of the scene, and so some of the things that are her character and how she was animated that she's mimicking without making it
mystical music
too focused.
Yeah, we can't actually hear the music here, but when I was watching, I noted that because I watched with the subtitles, and I was like, "There's absolutely nothing mystical about the music that's
right
now."
It gets like more and more. It's majestic. That it's like, I don't know. It's funny. We'll see.
What I really, though, enjoy about Rosario Dawson, her portrayal of Ahsoka, is I like that she's not full of emotion. I feel like an older Ahsoka who's more of a master would be, more focused on her surroundings and understand what's going on.
Yeah. This is cool. I've never seen like laser blasters open up.
Yeah, yeah, and get ammunition for him.
Like a laser or crystal or whatever. I don't know what it is. Battery?
Maybe they are bullets. They're just glowy bullets. We don't know.
I mean, as a prop maker, those are the things I'm watching. And I'm like, oh, I like that bag.
Yeah, so now you have to make one.
You're going to redesign a whole bunch of stuff now and start adding actual charging modules or whatever those are.
Things that I always notice are like the lights on her armor. Those are the little things I always used to pick up with my Boba Fett armor when I was making it. Sort of those little details. I love those things.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, oh my gosh. This is like, put your chairs in that right position, your trays in that right position, snuggle in.
They're about to get exciting. And wait, look, Ahsoka's not got her arms crossed, I don't think.
I don't think she does.
I think she made it almost a full 10 seconds without crossing her arms. All right, we got to stop making fun of that. We got to move on.
Yeah.
I do agree with Shane a little bit, though, that, that she is more, along the lines of Clone Wars, and definitely a distinction more like Rebels and a distinction from Clone Wars, in that she is more of a mature Jedi.
All right, this is where you thought you was going to.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Take it.
Yeah, is poor Huyang gonna?
I totally thought Huyang was gonna
snapping.
light it there.
Yeah, I was convinced. I was thinking, well, he had a good run. He made it through the first 4 episodes.
Yeah, I thought his head was going to come off right here.
Yeah.
500 years. It's like they can't take him out now.
Right?
Yeah.
He had to have had some survival skills to have made it 500 years.
Well,
I love the droid fist fight.
Yeah, training and fighting with Sabine and stuff. Mm-hmm. I would think that he would know how to fight.
Well, as well as all of that work with, young Jedi for 500 years making lightsabers, you'd think he's picked up a trick or two.
Sure. Yeah. You would hope so.
But he doesn't have any built-in lightsabers.
Like, he needs some freaking weapons.
Well, I beg to differ. He seems to be doing fine. Here we go. Okay, it's on.
Helmets on.
Helmets on. Lightsabers lit.
Is this the first time we've seen Sabine live action with her helmet on now?
I believe it is. I don't think she's put the helmet on before this. So this is how we know things are serious. Great little scene here, great little action scene. I like the way it's the cinematography, how everything's really dark except for the little spots of light here and there.
I liked how she drug the one guy in front of the other guy. I wish the guy would have blasted him. That would have been cool.
That was a little ruthless.
This is also a good example for filmmakers that you can create a dark combat scene and not make it so that you can't watch it.
Yeah.
So I
It can
really
still be
like
readable.
for a dark scene and combat, I can still see what's going on. I can still see the action. And
Yeah, you don't have to have everything move so fast that you can't, like, what did I just see? You know,
Right.
I do think the lightsabers help with that. though.
I was about to say laser swords definitely help with that.
They do. And the little light up bits on the armor that we were just discussing earlier.
But
more
yeah, so-
foreshadowing.
So what I was
Yes.
saying, before about Ahsoka is like, I mean, she's more serene. She's more in the line of like, Jedi masters that we've seen, the council and stuff like that were more kind of still and more at peace with the Force. We see that now more in her.
majestic music. And so he's saying, stay together, guys. Like, you're better together.
Almost guaranteeing that they will be split up by the end
Right?
Yes.
So
Couldn't
my
say.
question is, right, this fleet, are they always just floating somewhere in space, getting ready to go defeat the Empire or something? Or is this
Yeah.
around a planet or something?
Well, they got to find a home base. They're looking for a home planet, I think.
No, I think they're just floating. I mean, it's not like you can land that thing anywhere.
I love that, the pilots in the background just walking, where
She does
what's
my
the mission?
favorite line coming up. Oh my God.
Unfortunately, we're not going to hear it, but we'll read it. You'll
Well,
have to
we'll
read it aloud
read
for
it.
it. Yeah.
Well, this entire scene kind of redeems a little bit the last episode because as she's telling them that she's not coming, that they wouldn't let her go after her meeting with the
Yeah.
senators.
Or the fleet.
I
yeah.
thought to myself, that's not happening.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember thinking earlier when she's talking to the lieutenant, he says you can't leave without authorization. I was thinking she's the general. Who does she need
Yeah.
authorization from?
Yeah.
But again, predictable, but in a lot of it's just cool. And particularly this exit scene here.
Oh, and Carson. I love this guy.
Carson! Nice to see him again. Yeah. And to your point, Bill, I don't know that I need to be surprised by Star Wars necessarily. I don't mind if it's predictable. That's fine. That's not why we're watching this.
Well, sometimes
It's a rebel, always a rebel.
predictable is because we know it works.
Yeah.
And that's and I'm I guess what I'm saying is I'm okay with the predictability in this scene.
Yeah,
This
exactly.
scene was freaking cool.
Well, like,
I
some of those
I just
pilots,
love seeing Carson again because we definitely liked him from The Mandalorian, and it re-puts it into the same context as Mandalorian.
Yeah. Well, that just really took me back to the first time in A New Hope when the Millennium Falcon makes the jump.
Yeah.
Sitting there 7 years old, and you're like, that's awesome.
I'm surprised she brought her kid. That's weird.
well, you need to have kids in the show,
Yeah, and I guess
Yeah, but you're taking her to a mission on a war to help. I don't know.
the New Republic clearly doesn't have childcare options.
Yeah.
Right? No free childcare.
It explains how the First Order
Ominous
took over.
whooshing, crystalline twinkling.
These are all great titles for something. I'm not sure what, but
Punk rock bands.
yeah, maybe.
I really like this character. I think she's really cool. Just sort of like the mystery behind the
Morgan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's a good good villain.
The whole thing, the Witches of Dathmar, all of that. I want to know more about it.
And Balin is really interesting too. I want to understand
know
his
more about him.
relationship with,
Oh my
especially with
gosh.
Anakin and sort of coming up, some of the vitriol he has towards. Ahsoka.
Yeah, and a lot of the stuff he says in this episode, you kind of think he's not really terribly villainous. He doesn't.
Yeah.
He's not just twirling his mustache. He seems like he's got something else in mind.
Which
A
definitely,
lot
I
of
mean,
that's down to Ray Stevenson's acting.
I mean, the best villains do. The best villains,
Yeah.
you can understand them. I mean, because they should have a motivation that you actually understand. Marvel's actually gotten really good at that.
Mhm.
So I
Yeah.
haven't seen a lot of the Rebels, but the way they had that shot, that seems kind of familiar. Like they've done that in the cartoons. And the way Ahsoka runs, like she's not running in a straight line, that she zigzaggies and stuff. That seems to be par for the character.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. She ran more in like Clone Wars and stuff. But
Okay, that's where I'm getting it from.
yeah, that's where you're getting it from.
I did
Oh
like
my
in the
God.
scene how everybody goes for the lightsabers, but Sabine goes immediately for the
To the
pistols.
blasters, yeah.
This is
Stick
so
with
cool.
what
The lightsaber fighting in this is so much more based on stances and
Mhm.
technique than just going as fast as you crazily can go, right?
Yeah.
Or as slow as possible.
Mhm. Well, I mean, we had over the years, we've had some. I mean, the first lightsaber duel we ever saw was a 70-year-old man and a guy in a suit and a helmet
Yeah.
that he couldn't see. And, you know, I think the stuff in the prequel trilogy was a little too frenetic. It was too martial arty, I always thought. I think this strikes a nice balance.
With
This
Ahsoka
is
specifically,
crazy.
I think like Ahsoka specifically, I think very much is her movements are very samurai.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so Sabine just got smashed against a tree.
Oh, there goes
And then
tree.
the tree slicing is just amazing.
Yeah.
And of course, the helmet had to come off like a minute.
Oh, of course.
Well, yeah.
It's like Spider-Man can't ever keep his mask on.
Well, don't want to forget what the actors look like.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, I think we established through at least several seasons of Mandalorian, you could have a very high-paid lead actor and not actually see his
Mhm.
face for long periods of
Yeah,
time.
that was tense music.
Yes, tense music because tense things are happening.
I so felt like that was a little Stargatey there with the coordinates.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too. I wasn't going to say anything.
Yeah, very, very MacGuffin-y. I mean, it's like just we've got this visual of just like something clicking down. So okay, so that must show something important happening. It's like the most evil progress bar ever.
Yeah, exactly. It's a plot device.
More
It's a
tree
countdown.
slices.
Man, this forest is so cool with the red
Okay,
leaves.
whirling. He's
is
going all Grievous
whirling.
on her now.
This is amazing. I love this.
And
scene.
can I just say the duel between Sabine
You gotta watch it.
and oh, there goes this twirling. But the other duel with the orange and
All right,
green
so-
lightsabers just looks great. Look at that. Those
Yeah.
colors just look great together.
Who was Maruk again?
Yeah,
it
so, I
doesn't
mean,
matter.
everyone was making such a big deal about that
I know.
character. Like we all
Yeah.
thought this was gonna be
Alright.
this important thing, and now
Dust
okay,
to dust. Ashes to ashes.
He was
Yeah.
essentially like
they totally snoked that character.
You know, it's
No.
funny when my wife and I were watching it yesterday. I right before that happened, I even said out loud to her, "Okay, they need to decide whether he's going to be a character or not."
Yeah, or not, yeah.
And then they chopped him in half, and I went,
So
"Okay, I
now
guess they
Hotie's all
decided."
pissed.
Yeah, there's been
He's
so
like-
much online speculation about who that character was and it being some important thing or
it's
time
like,
travelers or alternate universe characters and stuff. And like,
And it's
nah,
the
it's
lost,
it's
the
just
lost smoke monster.
yeah, it's just a smoke.
In the end, he was just an NPC.
Yeah.
So, but what is that? What was that dust? What,
so I've heard that there's a reference to Rebels that essentially it's a spell by her, by like a Sith or witch spell that
so it's magic.
yeah.
Force magic.
By the witch.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like her command there is just stand there, protect the thing.
Yeah, just
Mhm.
stay here.
Yeah, stay here. I'll be back for you.
Well,
Maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah, watch the car or hold my
This
purse.
is- There's a
Yeah,
great
hold my purse.
great shot coming up here just as she's trying to figure out how to get into this. And she creeps in and she creeps in, and he's just sitting there hanging out. You know, you expect him to be standing there with his chest sticking out with a big old something
He's
in his
got
hands.
the
But no,
force.
he's
He
just
knows
sitting
when
there.
someone enters his
Yeah.
space bubble.
Yeah, no, I think it's great. I think it tells us something
It's-
about the character that he's
he's
just
pretty
having a
strong.
rest.
Like, so he knows Anakin,
Hmm.
but he says everybody knows Anakin.
Right. Anakin's hard to miss.
If you would see what he became.
Yeah.
So he knows what happened to Anakin. And my impression has always been that not that many people know who Darth Vader is.
Yeah.
It's not common knowledge,
Yeah.
but he knows.
Well, would it have come out at the end of Jedi?
Yeah, that's a good question. And would it matter to anybody?
Yeah.
And why wasn't Balin hunted down by Inquisitors?
That's a good question. These are all good questions. Yeah, the The survived Jedi, they're kind of like the immortals in the Highlander TV show, how they're all supposed to be dead, but yet new ones keep appearing every week.
Yeah.
So they clearly didn't do a good job of hunting down all the Jedi, because there
Well, there
seemed to be
were
plenty of
really
thousands of them. I mean, there were
Yeah.
a lot of Jedi out there.
And he's now not a Jedi, not a
Yeah.
Sith, but
Mhm.
Maybe it's harder to detect a deceptive heart than a pure heart or something, and that's why
Right.
more Jedi died.
Yeah. And as far as the importance of, I mean, anyone knowing Anakin was Darth Vader. I mean, given that the hero of Yavin and the hero of Return of the Jedi was Luke Skywalker, and the hope of the new Jedi Order and everything, they might have wanted to keep the Skywalker name
Keep
a
it
little bit
quiet.
pure there.
Although, as we mentioned before, for all we know, Skywalker is a very common name in the Star Wars universe. It could be like
Sure.
Jones.
And
There's
his
more.
stance is cool. It's much more like medieval type of.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, much
So-
more military.
He's like, man, I'm sorry this had to come down to this. Like, I didn't want to have to kill you or fight you or
Mhm. Exactly my point. He's not just the
Yeah.
usual murderous,
Yeah,
kill everything in his path.
I mean, we genuinely do not know what his motivations are.
Yeah.
We do not know why he's doing what he's doing, why he's allied with Morgan, why he wants Thrawn back. He wants power, but we don't know to what end.
Right.
I mean, bringing Thrawn back, bringing the
Yeah.
Empire back doesn't seem like it's something he would have wanted, having survived the Purge, but it also doesn't seem like he's trying to bring the Jedi back either.
Right.
We don't know at all. Like he seems to genuinely not enjoy fighting another Jedi, possibly taking out another Jedi. We don't know what his motivations are.
So
No.
it's
well, his
more-
motivation right here is to get Ahsoka,
Yeah.
and we don't like that.
Well, the motivation is to protect the ball.
So I love the way the lightsabers go through the rocks here and stuff. That's crazy.
he's still a bit of
Like-
a classic
like
villain
Groove,
trope,
right?
and he does have a bit of that. He seems like he might be a good guy. He's not completely evil, but yet, at least our heroes and villains in comics and things like that are full of the villain who really thinks he's doing a good thing. He's just going about it. He doesn't care about his means. I mean, whether you're talking about Magneto for the X-Men or Lex Luthor with Superman.
He's just
These
sliced a
are all
rock.
people that are they think they're the hero.
Yeah,
good-
no
good
villain thinks they're the villain.
Yeah, a good villain is always the hero of their own story.
Mhm.
What's great here is Ahsoka does succeed, but
Yeah.
burns the heck out of her.
So she's like trying to get that cube off, and he's
Here's
"Ugh,
these two again.
oh my
Yeah, I'm
god.
surprised that they've been going this long now. Honestly,
Yeah, Sabine's holding. She's tired here.
Yeah, you can tell they're both tired. They're too evenly matched, it seems like.
And I knew we would finally see her use the Force. I knew we would see that this.
Mhm.
Well,
But-
or not.
Well, that's the
Yeah,
thing.
I mean, not much, but
Hey, it worked, and she wasn't able to do it.
Yeah, but what she realizes there is that you don't have the Force, so
She has rockets.
yes.
Yeah.
She has rockets.
That's
Yeah,
what
you
she
know-
realized.
I gotta say, I think I'd rather have rockets than the Force.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah.
Can rely on rockets. Oh no, he's losing.
Oh,
I'm as I change my subtitle on my name tag, I am rooting for Balin. Actually, I want to know. I want him to win.
I was gonna come up with a funny title too, and I couldn't think of anything.
yeah,
Oh,
it's really
What's that? Pixie dust? What is that?
yeah.
Well, this shows us in the lore and backstory and whatever the idea is that the Mandalorian armor was originally designed to counter the powers that the Jedi have. So like the Jedi can make people float around, so the Mandalorians have grappling hooks instead, which lets them
Yeah.
do the same thing.
And that the armor, the material withstands
Can block lightsabers. Yeah.
So like intense here coming up.
Yeah. It's a great duel. It's both of these.
Yeah,
duels.
well, here she realizes she thinks that Sabine's dead because
Yeah.
his apprentice came back, and she's just like,
Oof. That was a little ruthless
You
too.
killed my Sabine.
Yeah. Now you're gonna take it. Oh, maybe not.
Yeah.
And he's like, it didn't need to come to this. I
Yeah,
told you.
see, he regrets this. He's not just hell bent to murder everybody in front of him like most Sith that we've met so far.
So
That's
she's
a
like,
shot from
destroy
Rebels,
this.
too. That her looking through that right there. That's like from Rebels too.
Ah.
Anakin or Darth Vader.
Okay,
So that was
she
a daring
goes off the
choice.
line.
Her name's in the title, and they bumped her off in episode 4.
What happened? She just
Well, they
she
did
just
call the
force
episode
floated?
Fallen Jedi.
Hmm.
Did she catch herself with a force float?
I don't think so.
No. I think starting next week it'll have a different title. It'll be
Sabine.
called
No.
Sabine, like it should have been called all along.
No. It's just we don't know Sabine. I
Yeah.
mean, we know Ahsoka from a couple other series.
Yes.
Yeah, Ray Stevenson. Such a bummer he passed away. He's such a
Yeah.
He's
This
terrific.
character-
In this.
So cool. The costume's cool.
Mhm. Oh, everything about him is amazing.
And
Here he is with the
everything about everybody. He knows everything about Ahsoka. He knows everything about her motivations.
Well, he just did the Kylo thing and like read her mind right
Yeah.
there.
and now he's they're having the Indiana Jones and Belloc argument.
Yeah.
You
Mhm.
can't blow up the Ark. We all know you're not going to do it. Yeah, you can see she's lost this fight.
She should have just
see it in
thrown
her
that
face.
up and shot it.
And it's
Yeah,
exactly
but-
the conversation that Ahsoka had with her. It's like,
Yeah.
I trust you to do the right thing in the right moment.
Right, but she
Yeah,
knows this is
she's
the
like,
only
"You
way they're
trust
going to
me?"
get. It's the only way they're going to get Ezra back. So she knows
Yeah.
she can't.
Well, I mean, it'll probably be her life too. I mean, if she would
Right.
shoot that thing, he'd probably take her out.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know
Completely.
that. I think a normal Sith villain, yes, but this one, I don't think so. I
Yeah, but
believe
she's
him.
not getting the benefit of our insight to watching him.
Mhm.
But it's the failing there. It's Jedi don't have attachments.
Right.
I really would have liked to have seen her just go no, and
Yeah, just throw it up and shoot it.
and they could have found other, they have
plan
other
B.
ways of
Sure.
the villains accomplishing their goal. They
Yeah, you would think they would have an AI be. The thing got to like 80%. The AI should be able to fill in the last 20%.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But even though we see this coming, it's still, I think part of it is just because it hurts.
Well, it does seem like it happens that way, Michael.
And,
Sorry.
Yeah, but I mean, this is the story. This is what the story is about, her wanting to save her friend above anything else.
Uh-oh.
Strange.
I thought she was going to start crying,
I thought so too.
right? And then,
Throw up or something.
Or
I,
her
I
all
Yeah.
thought, I thought it was him betraying her. I thought it was Balin killing her, and
Yeah.
then realized that it was Shin.
Yeah.
And then he stops her.
Yeah, and consider that Star Wars has a long tradition of characters changing sides. So I don't know that I'm rooting for Balin to turn around by the end of the series.
Yeah, and we don't know who the title refers to. Does the title refer to Balin? Does the title refer to Ahsoka? We don't know.
The Fallen
Who-
Jedi. Yeah,
Who is the Fallen Jedi?
right.
so they were like 3/4.
well, I thought it was because
Downloaded.
Ahsoka going off the cliff.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was interesting because the thing was like 75-80%, and then he plugs it back in, and then immediately it's done. It took like
Immediately. Like, we're done.
an hour, everything up
Let's
until that point.
So going back to what you're saying about who's the Fallen Jedi, none of the characters that we just talked about identify themselves as Jedi.
Correct.
True.
So it could be someone that we just haven't quite seen yet.
Yeah, as if they're in the after credits.
I don't know what you're talking about.
And arriving a little bit late to the battle.
As always, but
But at least they
Cavalry-
made a great attempt.
Yeah, and the cavalry can't ever arrive before the nick of time. That wouldn't be very
No,
nice.
no.
It is cool.
Calculations are complete.
It's so cool seeing the ghost, with
Yeah.
leading 5 X-wings.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then joink. So that'll never be used again. But Ahsoka has it burned into her hand, so we're good.
Oh, see, we're back to Raiders of the Lost Ark again.
Indiana Jones
That would be a Raiders reference. Yeah.
Come on,
That would
Ian.
totally be a Raiders reference.
It's like, fine, we can follow them. We'll just follow what's on Ahsoka's hand.
Yeah,
And that's just the 1/4 they needed to use.
sure. Exactly.
To upload it.
No, you're right, though. It will be interesting. I mean, there's no question that they'll figure out a way to follow them, but it will be interesting to see what they come up with.
The whales.
So, yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Space whales.
The space whales.
I'll say they've
Because, I
done-
mean, they made
Fast
such a show of the whales being there, they have to factor into the story somehow.
Loch S foils. I love that line.
Yeah.
So
And this shot, the shot of the guys in the cockpit is so Star Wars. That's just so iconic. You have to have that as much as you can in Star Wars stuff.
I don't know if he's already uttered the line or not here, but again, on Balin's motivations, he does mention at some point, he says that sort of trope line of the greater good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but we don't know what greater good. What's his greater good?
what's
Yeah,
his
that-
greater good? I mean,
What does he think the greater good is? Why
so he
does he
also
think?
said, "Come with me willingly," and she's in cuffs.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure the apprentice insisted.
Shin.
Yeah.
Or
Shin.
more
I'm having a hard time remembering her name for some reason. I don't know why.
Shin
I,
Hottie,
I keep getting it from the subtitles. Yeah, Shin.
and her last name's Hottie.
There's the hyperdrive thingy.
Very Star Trekky to me.
It is. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
It is a bit. That's a very Star Wars shot, though, of all those ships. You know, dead center of the camera.
So I was just thinking how great she looks and no wrinkles and being green and everything. And then in like the next scene, I think it gave her a wrinkle.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
after
like
this,
this
rough
right
couple
here.
minutes.
Whoosh.
I mean,
Floats
having that
it.
happen to you,
No.
would produce some wrinkles. So yeah.
She just looks at her son like, "Did you see that?"
didn't he say earlier, I have a bad feeling?
Yeah,
he
He
did.
says it.
Yes,
Yeah.
Jason did. Yeah, Jason did do the I have a bad feeling about this. Yep.
He didn't say about this, just I have a bad feeling.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So of course Carson and Hera and Jason survive because
Of
they're
course.
characters that we know. The rest were all like other franchise red shirts.
Mhm.
I think a few other. I think
I
only
think
one
he
of
says
them.
it
actually.
now.
Oh, here's
Oh,
where
yeah.
it goes. Yeah, here's where he
And
says it.
that's, I think it's a little too late.
Yeah, I've got a bad feeling.
I wish they would have just about this. I would've-
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
thought he was going to say, I peed my pants.
It threw open my mouth a little.
He's like, Ren, Sabine.
Anybody?
Yeah. Anybody?
Anyone?
Tana?
Oh, sure. Forget about the droid. Just leave me here.
Well, I thought Sabine
I was
and
honestly not expecting Hu Yang to survive this episode, so I
Yeah.
guess that's a.
So where's our lead character?
yeah.
Oh, she's
Well, here we
hanging off the
go.
edge of the
We
cliff.
Mysterious
genuinely
music.
don't know where our lead character is.
Waves crashing.
It's crashing. Suspense is killing me. This is a beautiful shot, though, the way they make
Yeah.
this transition.
And then here's an arm.
Yeah. She's
So I
giant.
thought she was on the beach.
Like I said, I was like, she's in the world between worlds.
Yeah, totally thought that she was on a beach there.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh,
Very
I did too.
confused.
And then a little glowy for a beach. Maybe not
Yeah.
a beach.
Like, what?
Yeah, once you see the path, and
And this, to me, this is nice because yes, those of us who have watched Rebels remember this, But if you haven't, does that matter? Does it matter that you don't know for sure what this is?
No,
I
I
don't know that even
no,
if
I
we
didn't
watch
know.
Rebels, we know what this is.
I didn't know what this was until I
Yeah.
researched it today,
Hello, Snips.
and I'm fine.
Yeah, and then hello Snips.
I'm
Yeah.
fine with that.
Like we knew he was going to be in it, but we didn't know
Mhm.
how or where
Yeah.
or when.
When
Sure.
or what? And I'm glad it's in number 4, not number 1.
Mysterious voice, warm music,
Warm.
warm music playing,
To-
and there he is.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yep,
Now, I
definitely.
do have to say that I kind of wish they hadn't treated his face. They've clearly done some
Yeah,
CG
definitely
on his
de-aged
face.
Yeah.
him.
I think
And
it's
I
the
wish they
hair.
hadn't.
Face
because-
is great. I think it's the hair.
Something.
no.
There's something.
Vader
Yeah.
theme plays.
See,
What the F?
Right.
Is he actually Vader or?
Why
there,
would
or-
that happen if they were like, oh,
I
Well,
guess we'll-
for the
Well,
audience, the cue is Vader's music.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
So
so
the
I was going to
idea-
say, I remember that in when he appeared in the Obi-Wan series, they did not de-age him. That flashback scene where he and Obi-Wan are dueling in the little tower. They're just having their practice duel. They didn't de-age him, and I thought that was fine. I actually find the de-aging more distracting than the actor being visibly older. I would much rather they have just not done that and let him let us see his saggy jowls. I think it's fine because he's not the age difference between him and him as he looked in Revenge of the Sith is not nearly as pronounced as like Mark Hamill's is between
yeah.
Right.
Return of the Jedi, because that's an extra 20 years
Well,
different.
and that's the thing is we're going to talk about where they are. I mean, the de-aging and kind of the CGIing can work in story, you know.
It can, but I don't think it did in this case. It didn't help, and it kind of took me out of it a little bit because it didn't look quite right. It was a little
Interesting.
dodgy.
It didn't bother me at all.
I still don't think that even though this can be in any time and any time period Anakin, I still think this is a current Force Ghost Anakin who
You
is I think this is the revised Force Ghost Anakin we see at the end of
Interesting, because prior to the show, when we watched the Tales of the Jedi episodes, and when we watched the trailer for this, we kind of did a discussion on the trailer, and that was my suggestion. That was what I was kind of hoping that it was going to be. That it was going to be a Force Ghost Anakin, basically the Force Ghost that we saw at the end of the revised version of Return of the Jedi. But that's the thing. I think now introducing it this way. And for the audience who aren't caught up, where they are is, where we're supposing is it's in a realm called the World Between Worlds, and it has portals to all time periods, all time and space. So it could be Anakin from any part of time and space.
Yeah.
Well, and the question is how did Ahsoka get there? Did she die to get there?
Right.
That's what I was going to say. What about Ahsoka?
How did Ahsoka get there in the first place? Yeah.
Right.
And
I
is
think
she essentially like a Force Ghost and like Anakin, and now that's why he looks real to her, is because she is in the same plane as him now? And
He's not
does
dead.
that mean Anakin can come hang out with her now and they can go on journeys together? I don't know. It's so many questions.
Well,
And go ahead, Jackie.
I was going to say in Rebels, Ezra was able to pull Ahsoka out from her place in time. I think she just has a connection to this world between worlds. And the fact that she's probably alive, it's just one of those things that the portal opened up when she was on the edge of death. I think that's where we're going with this.
Sure, she's having an out of body experience. She's probably floating in the water, unconscious.
Yeah.
Well, at your suggestion, thankfully today, Jackie, I watched the episode of Rebels, World Within Worlds or World Between Worlds, where Ezra Bridger did enter the World Between Worlds and saw the portals and saw a moment of Ahsoka and pulled her through into that place, and just kind of how we know that that's what it is this is what we saw when they were in the World Within Worlds. So that's why we're supposing that that's where they're at. So
Sure.
So, Jackie, that's what I thought. Dave Filoni had said that Ezra can pull her in. I didn't know he could pull her out. But if Ezra could pull her in and they're trying to hyperspace to Thrawn, maybe Thrawn and Ezra do know what's happening, and maybe he
Yeah, and certainly Ezra could pull her out when Elsbeth gets there, when they all get there.
Right,
Or
but
at
that
the very
doesn't
least-
to me explain the line of when Anakin talks to Ahsoka, he says, "Oh, I'm surprised it took you're here this earlier, this quick, or something along those lines,
So soon.
so
Yeah.
soon."
So soon.
And then why is Anakin there right away? Right, so Anakin has to play a bigger role into this, in my opinion. I just don't know how yet.
Yeah.
you know?
I think it was one of those things like in Rebels, and like Michael, you watched it today. So Ezra got there through a portal, through a mural. And I think there, like we said, there are portals everywhere. I think you could be it could even be a portal once you're dead. Because they never have really come out and said exactly what this is. Is this the edge between life and death? Is this like a purgatory type situation or what? But you can't, once you're in there, you can see what's going on throughout time.
Well, and we know it's attached to Jedi temples or temples of the Force. So where they were was a Dathomir temple essentially. So there could have been a portal there that she fell through.
Yeah.
And really, it's attached to wherever the writers need it to be.
Yeah, true.
So,
Definitely.
For plot point.
Mhm.
we now have 3 methods for them to reach to chase after Sabine and Balin.
Right.
So
They could use the
have
space
this-
whales. Hera could get there through the space whales. Sabine Ahsoka could get there through the world between worlds. So,
Yep, and then she has the map on her hand,
The Raiders way.
the Raiders way.
Yeah,
So-
exactly.
Do you think they're gonna have-
They can make this happen?
the Belloc method.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know,
and then Hera was test driving that other ship, and that had hyperspace. Did it not?
Uh,
Well, they all have hypers. It's
In the
just
series, or-
Oh, I'm talking. I was watching
super
the
hyperspace.
cartoon. Yeah, sorry.
I
That's
think
Rebels
it's-
cartoon.
Yeah, it's more about the size of the ship to go as far as it's going to go.
Mhm.
I don't know. I don't know how hyperspace works. So
Yeah.
again,
But
Hyperspace definitely goes at the speed of plot. That's for sure.
Yes, it does. Yeah, it works. It works however we need it to work.
So
So
we have
do you
some good.
think with Anakin in this now with Ahsoka, and then now that they're going to another galaxy, do you think Thrawn is going to be just held to that other galaxy, and there's going to be a lot of wars there, and maybe Ahsoka and Anakin go and join? Maybe Anakin comes out, or do you think he stays in the world between worlds? I mean, there's just so many questions now.
I personally would prefer to see Anakin as a character used sparingly and in an advisory role, and not become somebody who actually gets to run around and do stuff, because his story's done. We saw how his story ended already. We haven't seen how Ahsoka's story ends yet. So
That's true. That is still a big
Exactly.
question mark because she's not in 7, 8, and 9. So
right.
her story does end at some point.
Yeah,
But,
so
go ahead.
she's still this big question mark, and Anakin is almost a distraction, because here's this character. I mean, yeah, it's great to see him again, and that's wonderful and fun, and I'm glad we get to see him be here a little bit, but I don't want him to take over the series. I want him to drift back into the background. It should be a treat when he shows up. And
I think
if
Anakin
they
is
start
the
doing it
Force
all the
ghost. Okay.
time, it's not special anymore.
Yeah, him as a Force ghost to Ahsoka makes the most sense. I mean, that's the thing. It makes sense. Of who the Qui-Gon would appear to Obi-Wan, and Obi-Wan would appear to Luke. And that Yoda would appear to Luke. So I mean, it's that master apprentice relationship there that it makes sense that he would be the one to appear as a Force ghost to her.
Right.
And maybe they'll answer some questions as to why Anakin never was a Force ghost to Ben Solo, right? Or why didn't you ever see Anakin in 7, 8, 9 talking to his son? Maybe it's because it's master apprentice type of deal.
Yeah, that was always my thought. Was that Anakin doesn't know any of those people. He doesn't know Ben Solo. He doesn't know Luke Skywalker. He's never met Luke.
Yeah. Well, it all depends on you've got the expanded universe of what was originally the novels that took place after the original trilogy, before everything kind of came back. Yeah. So a lot of those books answer all of those questions.
Well, and I think Filoni is bringing some of that in.
Yeah, we don't know how they're going to reinvent that now. And, certainly for Heir to the Empire, there's a lot they can't really do the same way now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I'm still going to be disappointed if when we find Thrawn, he does not have, what are those lizards, Ysalamiri or whatever?
Yeah, and I could see them doing that, because Filoni is not really, he's bringing next to nothing in from any of those books. He's brought one main character, Thrawn, and then a couple of the characters that are associated with Thrawn, Captain Pelion and Ruck, the little goblin kind of guy from the end of Rebels. But he hasn't brought really any plot elements from Heir to the Empire in, and I don't think he will. I think he has his own stories he wants to tell. I don't think he wants to do an adaptation or anything even remotely resembling an adaptation.
Yeah, he'll just use it for reference. I mean, there might be some things that are Easter eggs, as it were.
Possibly, but as you said, they can't really do those stories because they use too many characters that are now too old. We can't have Luke and Han and Leia back,
right?
Without recasting.
Without recasting, and they seem to be pretty reluctant to recast.
They pretty set made some pretty firm statement about that. So okay, so we've kind of covered a lot of the speculation there about what does this mean, her being the world between worlds? What does Anakin being? But with the episode we actually watched, what do you think about it? What did we love about that episode?
Everything.
The lore, the lightsaber battles, the planet. I mean, the excitement of getting to Thrawn finally.
I liked hearing a lot more from Baylan. I like that they fleshed him out a little bit as a character, and made it clear that he's not the same kind of murdery, mustache twirling villain that we usually get. That he's a much more thoughtful, nuanced character, and maybe it's not going to be so cut and dried. Stuff isn't going to unfold necessarily the way we think it's going to. So that was what I liked the most about this episode, was just getting to hear more from him.
We cleared the decks by saying that M Inquisitor person or whatever is not a thing anymore.
Well, she just do the spell again, and he could be a thing. You don't know.
Yeah, I wonder if they did that on purpose, just to keep the fans occupied for a while.
Yeah, just to give us something to speculate about.
Right, something that would not matter at all.
It's just a red herring that Dave Filoni is like, let him freak out.
Let's mess with him a little bit.
Yeah.
Communism was just a red herring.
Writing it in real time and watching our reactions and going, let's make it this way now. Let's make it this way now. Like they're, I don't know. That's funny.
So I'm really wondering if next week we finally get to see Thrawn, because this episode coming up, episode 5, is actually going to be shown in some movie theaters around the country. So it makes me think that there's some epic thing that's going to happen. So I really hope it's Thrawn. And honestly, I really, if it is, I'm really happy for Timothy Zahn, because he created Thrawn. And I remember talking to him at Starfest years ago when Disney bought Lucasfilm, and retcon basically said that like all the books and everything were no longer canon.
He was dead.
And he was really not, I don't know, upset, but pretty bummed out about the situation. And I think it's cool that Thrawn is finally coming back. I think that's really exciting.
So if Thrawn comes back, do you think the Vong will come in to play?
Yes, especially in another galaxy, for sure. I think that could be.
I'm excited about that.
Yeah. Well, and how are somehow they're going to get Mando in the Mandoverse involved? So it makes you think, how are they going to start winding all these? And then there's this other show coming out, the Skeleton Crew, and was it December, January timeframe? That's supposed to take place in the same time as Ahsoka, but it's with I think they're saying like a Goonies type of theme, where like Jude Law is like the main character, and then like
I
some
haven't
other-
heard recently if that's still on the schedule or when that's scheduled. I know they've been shifting a lot of that stuff around, and they've been trying. Like I know they just shifted all the Marvel shows and pushed
Yeah.
them back. So I don't know if that's still scheduled for. I mean, they already made it, so I mean it's going to come out, but I just don't know when it's scheduled for.
Yeah.
I don't know. Tell that to Batgirl.
Yeah,
Because they already made it doesn't mean it's still coming out.
Yeah.
different regime.
Well, to your earlier question, what made this episode for me is just that we got all the best elements of Star Wars in one episode that we haven't had in a long time. So whether, from spaceships to lightsaber duels, all of the great characters, and then the callback to Anakin, Darth Vader himself, you have everything in kind of one episode that they didn't mess up. Everything here was classic, and it's all the things that kind of hit those key points for our enjoyment of Star Wars. And whether I think everybody liked all the previous stories of presentations with the Mandalorian, the Book of Boba Fett, the animated series, but there's always those little catches, and certain people out there are like, oh, well, it's not really Star Wars to me anymore. This brings everything back and reminds us that this is Star Wars.
Yeah, this definitely was, we talked about it with the first episode, that this feels like the most natural continuation from, Return of the Jedi that we've gotten so far, that this is definitely episode 6.5.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so on that note, we'll leave with two notes. One would be my usual refrain of trust the Filoni. So we'll see where he's going with it, and trust that he's going to take us somewhere that we want to go. And I would say the most important thing coming out of this episode is that the linchpin of the entire saga is Carson.
He's the R2D2 of the
he's the crossover from Mandalorian. I think he might have even appeared in Book of Boba Fett. He now appears in here, and he's the only one other than Hera who survives that ship, going into hyperspace right in front of them. So Carson's the key.
Yes. Okay.
Thanks everyone. We will reconvene a week from now, and thanks everyone for joining us. And check us out on Facebook at Binging the Force. Subscribe on all your podcast clients. Look for Binging the Force, and definitely like and subscribe us on YouTube. We definitely want to see you there. Comment and everything that you can at Binging the Force on YouTube. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
See you all next time.
Bye.